Tonight, Liz Cheney is no longer the third-ranking House Republican. Moments after her GOP colleagues ousted her from her leadership post, the Congresswoman remained defiant.
I will do everything I can to ensure that the former president never again gets anywhere near the Oval Office.
Her expulsion happening behind closed doors, a voice vote that she did not dispute. Cheney's out after clashing with colleagues over former President Trump's repeated lie that the election was stolen, telling Savannah Guthrie he should not be a part of the GOP's future.
Are you the leader of the opposition in exile right now in the Republican Party?
I intend to be the leader, one of the leaders in a fight to help to restore our party, in a fight to bring our party back to substance and principles, and in a fight to make clear that we won't participate in a really dangerous effort that's underway.
A lot of people frame this as a battle for the soul of the Republican Party.
This is I think, opening salvo in that battle.
But Cheney's critics say her dissent has been a distraction, arguing she's out of step with a vast majority of Republican voters who support Mr. Trump and his agenda. Trump ally Jim Jordan tonight insisting you can't have a conference chair who recites Democrat talking points.
The will of the conference is, so look, we want to be unified in our messaging against the Biden administration's reckless policies that are destroying this country.
Former President Trump praising the House GOP's move, slamming Cheney as a bitter, horrible human being and a warmonger, writing she has, quote, no personality. Meanwhile, Cheney is calling out top House Republican Kevin McCarthy, who backed the effort to remove her.
I think that he is not leading with principle right now. And I think that it's sad, and I think it's dangerous.
McCarthy today at the White House with President Biden, who welcomed leaders from both parties.
But I don't think anybody is questioning the legitimacy of the presidential election. I think that is all over with. We're sitting here with the president today.
President Biden hosting that meeting to see if there's a compromise to be had with Republicans who oppose his more than $2 trillion infrastructure plan.
Easy, just snap my fingers, it'll happen.
But telling MSNBC in an interview airing tonight, he's prepared to move on without them.
And let's see if we can get an agreement, kickstart this, and then fight over what's left and see if I can get it done without Republicans if need be.
And tonight, the two sides are still divided over what counts as infrastructure and how to pay for it. Senator Mitch McConnell setting a red line that Republicans will not support tax increases that President Biden has called for.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.